Most people think they fail because they don't want their goals badly enough. That's comforting because it sounds noble, but it's also wrong. The real reason goals fail is much simpler and much more boring. There is no system that makes progress unavoidable. We like to imagine success as a burst of willpower, a heroic moment. One day you wake up disciplined, focused, unstoppable. But nature doesn't work that way. Physics doesn't work that way, and neither does the human brain. If you want to actually achieve goals, you have to stop asking, how do I motivate myself? And start asking a better question. What system would make the right action the easiest action? Let's start from the beginning. A goal is just a desired outcome. It has no force. It doesn't push anything. Writing, I want to get fit on paper doesn't cause a single push-up to happen. A system, on the other hand, is a set of constraints that shape behavior automatically. Nature always follows the path of least resistance. Water doesn't decide where to flow, it flows where it can. People are no different. You don't rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your environment. So the first rule is this: never trust future you. Future you is tired, distracted, emotional, and busy. If your plan depends on future you making heroic decisions, the plan is already broken. A working system assumes you will be lazy at the worst possible moment and still succeed. Now, how do you build such a system? You start by reducing the problem to its smallest moving parts. Most goals are vague. Learn a skill. Build a business. Get disciplined. These are not actionable. They're labels. And labels are useless to the brain. The brain only responds to concrete actions. So you ask, what is the smallest action that moves this forward? Not the ideal action. Not the impressive one. The smallest one. If the goal is to write, the system is not write a book. The system is open the document every morning. If the goal is fitness, the system is not get in shape. The system is put on gym clothes at the same time every day. Notice something important here. Systems focus on inputs, not outcomes. Outcomes are delayed. Inputs are immediate. The brain can't negotiate with something that happens automatically. This brings us to the second rule: remove choice wherever possible. Every choice costs energy. By the end of the day, decision-making power is gone. That's not a personal flaw, that's biology. A system works when it eliminates decisions. Same time, same place, same trigger, same action. When you don't decide whether to act, only how, progress becomes mechanical. Next, you need feedback. Without feedback, the brain loses interest. In science, if you don't measure, you're just guessing. Goals fail because progress is invisible. Weeks of effort feel like nothing, so the brain quits. A system fixes this by making progress visible. A checklist, a streak, a simple mark on paper. The measurement doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to exist. The brain loves seeing evidence that something is happening. Now here's a crucial mistake people make. They design systems for perfect days. Perfect days don't exist. A real system is designed for bad days. Low energy, low time, low motivation. If your system only works when conditions are ideal, it's not a system, it's a fantasy. So you add a rule: the system must have a minimum version. Not go to the gym, but do 5 minutes. Not study for 2 hours, but read 1 page. This does 2 things. First, it keeps the system alive. Second, it maintains identity. You don't break the chain. And identity is powerful. Which brings us to the final piece. Goals are about what you want to get. Systems are about who you become. Every time the system runs, it casts a vote for a type of person. Not because you feel inspired, but because the behavior happened. You don't become disciplined by feeling disciplined. You become disciplined by repeatedly doing small, boring things on schedule. That's it. No magic, no hype, no secret trick, just honest observation of how humans actually work. If you want to achieve goals, stop worshiping motivation. Stop waiting for clarity. Stop demanding perfection. Build simple systems that make action easy, remove decisions, survive bad days. Run whether you feel like it or not. Because in the end, success isn't a personality trait. It's just good engineering. Most people believe that goals are powerful. They write them down, visualize them, repeat them, and wait for something to change. But nothing moves. And then they assume the problem is motivation, discipline, or confidence. In reality, the problem is much simpler. A goal by itself has no force. A goal is just a statement about the future. It doesn't push, pull, or cause anything to happen. Saying, I want to succeed, is like announcing where you'd like a rock to roll without giving it a slope. The rock doesn't care. Nature doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to forces. If nothing in your daily life changes, the outcome won't either. What actually creates motion is a system. A system is not an ambition. It's a set of rules, constraints, and routines that make certain actions happen whether you feel inspired or not. When a system is in place, progress becomes a byproduct of structure, not emotion. Think about how the physical world works. Objects don't move because they want to. They move because forces act on them. The same logic applies to behavior. People don't consistently act because they care more than others. They act because their environment, habits, and constraints push them in a particular direction. Remove the force and motion stops. Add the right force and motion becomes inevitable. This is why goals are fragile. They depend on future decisions. Every day you have to wake up and choose to care again. But decisions are expensive. They drain energy. By the end of a long day, even small choices feel heavy. A plan that relies on constant choosing is a plan that will eventually collapse. A system avoids this problem by reducing or eliminating choice. When the action is scheduled, triggered, or embedded into your environment, it no longer competes with your mood. It just happens. You don't debate whether to act. The conditions are already set. There's another hidden problem with goals. They focus your attention on the finish line instead of the process. The finish line is distant and abstract. The brain doesn't respond well to distant rewards. It wants immediate feedback. When weeks go by and the goal still looks far away, effort starts to feel pointless, even when progress is being made. A system shifts attention to what happens today. It doesn't ask, did you win? It asks, did the process run? That question can be answered immediately, and immediate feedback keeps behavior alive. This is also why people who reach a goal often feel lost afterward. The goal disappears, and so does the structure that supported action. Without a system, progress stops the moment the target is reached. With a system, improvement continues automatically. Another advantage of systems is that they expose reality. Goals allow imagination to run wild. You can believe you're committed without testing that belief. Systems don't allow pretending. Either the action happens or it doesn't. Either the process runs or it fails. That honesty is uncomfortable, but incredibly useful. When people say they want something badly but never act, the issue isn't desire. It's that nothing in their life is applying pressure in that direction. Change the pressure, and behavior changes without speeches, promises, or emotional speeches to yourself. In the end, achieving anything meaningful isn't about wanting it more. It's about designing a setup where the right actions are the easiest actions. When motion is built into the structure of your days, progress stops being a struggle and starts being a consequence. That's why goals alone don't work. They point to a destination but provide no engine. Systems build the engine. And once the engine is running, the destination becomes almost unavoidable. Most people try to achieve something by relying on their own motivation. They tell themselves, I will be disciplined tomorrow, or I will push myself harder next time. It feels noble, like an act of willpower, but it almost never works. Motivation is fleeting. It rises and falls like waves, sometimes high enough to carry you forward, sometimes so low that even the smallest action feels impossible. If your plan depends on these waves, your progress will be equally unpredictable. The solution is to stop relying on motivation and start designing systems that work even when motivation is gone. A system is a structure that makes the right action the default action. It doesn't wait for inspiration. It doesn't depend on how you feel or whether you are in the mood. It works because it changes the environment around you, making the correct step easier than the incorrect one. Nature is efficient in the same way. Water doesn't ask whether it wants to flow downhill. It just follows the path of least resistance. People are no different. If you want to create real change, you have to design your life so that good behaviors are the path of least resistance. The first principle of building a system is to assume that you will fail if left to your own judgment. Future you is unpredictable. You will be tired, distracted, and emotionally drained. You will be busy, tempted, and sometimes simply unwilling. A system acknowledges this reality instead of ignoring it. It works around it. It does not depend on a heroic moment of decision. Instead, it creates a routine so simple and clear that action happens automatically, without debate or hesitation. One way to achieve this is by breaking goals into their smallest components. Most people make the mistake of imagining that success requires grand gestures. I will write a book, or I will become an expert, or I will exercise for an hour every day. These statements are vague and intimidating. The brain resists them. A system, in contrast, focuses on tiny, repeatable actions that can be performed even on low-energy days. If your goal is to write, the system is open the document every morning and write one sentence. If your goal is fitness, the system is put on gym clothes at the same time every day. Success is built by the accumulation of small actions, not by sporadic bursts of willpower. Another crucial element of systems is removing unnecessary choices. Every decision requires energy. Each choice, no matter how small, chips away at focus and self-control. By simplifying decisions, deciding in advance when, where, and how actions will occur, you remove friction. Action becomes almost automatic. The fewer choices the system demands, the more likely it is to run consistently, regardless of motivation. Feedback is another critical factor. Without a way to measure progress, effort feels invisible and meaningless. Humans are wired to respond to evidence that what they are doing matters. Systems that provide immediate feedback, tracking streaks, checking off tasks, or marking small wins, keep the brain engaged. They reinforce the behavior and make progress tangible. Over time, these small victories accumulate into real, measurable results. Finally, a system must survive bad days. Days when energy is low, time is scarce, or motivation has vanished are inevitable. A system that collapses under minor stress is no system at all. It is just a fragile plan. Designing minimum effort versus ons of tasks ensures that even on the worst days, the chain doesn't break. Consistency, more than intensity, is what leads to lasting results. Ultimately, a system is not about willpower, inspiration, or motivation. It is about creating an environment and a set of routines that make the correct behavior inevitable. By reducing reliance on future decisions, breaking goals into manageable actions, eliminating unnecessary choices, providing feedback, and surviving bad days, a system transforms intention into achievement. Success is no longer a hope. It becomes a consequence of design. Most people think achieving a goal is about wanting it badly enough. They believe that if they care enough, push hard enough, and stay disciplined, success will follow. That's an appealing story, but it's wrong. Motivation is unreliable. It rises and falls like the tide, and if your plan depends on it, you are setting yourself up for failure. True achievement comes from something far simpler, but far more powerful systems. A system doesn't care if you're inspired. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It works because it is designed to produce action automatically, regardless of mood or willpower. The first step to building a system is realizing that relying on future you is a mistake. Future you is tired, distracted, and inconsistent. Everyday circumstances change. Some days you will feel energetic, others depleted. Some days you will have time, others none. If your plan assumes that future you will always make heroic decisions, it is doomed. Systems solve this problem by removing reliance on motivation and designing conditions in which the desired action is the easiest, most natural thing to do. The second principle is to simplify the goal into actionable steps. Vague statements like I want to be fit or I want to be productive are meaningless to the brain. The brain doesn't respond to labels, it responds to concrete actions. A system translates abstract goals into small, repeatable behaviors. For example, if your goal is to write a book, the system isn't write a book. It's open the document for 15 minutes every morning. If your goal is fitness, the system isn't get in shape. It's put on running shoes immediately after waking up. These tiny actions accumulate over time, building real progress without depending on inspiration or grand gestures. Another key element is removing unnecessary decisions. Every choice we make consumes energy. Each decision depletes focus and self-control. By structuring your system so that actions are predetermined, same time, same place, same sequence, you eliminate friction. Action becomes automatic. When your system runs, you don't debate whether to act, you simply follow the path already laid out. This is why consistency is far more important than intensity. Systems allow small, repeated actions to compound into substantial results. Feedback is a critical component. Without it, effort feels invisible. Progress becomes abstract, motivation fades, and the system collapses. By measuring results and making progress visible, the system reinforces itself. This doesn't require perfection. It can be as simple as checking off a box, marking a streak, or recording small achievements. The brain craves evidence that effort matters. When it sees that what you are doing is working, it keeps pushing forward. 10 without conscious thought. A well-designed system also accounts for failure and bad days. Life is unpredictable. Energy ebbs and flows. Time is limited. A system that fails under these conditions isn't a system. It's a fragile plan. A robust system defines a minimum viable action that can be done even when motivation is low. 5 minutes of exercise, 1 paragraph of writing, or reviewing one concept may seem small, but maintaining consistency keeps the chain intact. Identity is preserved, and progress continues even on the worst days. Finally, systems transform the focus from outcomes to processes. Goals are about results, which are distant and uncertain. Systems are about repeated behaviors, which are immediate and controllable. This shift is critical because humans respond to processes, not abstract future results. By embedding success into daily routines, designing clear steps, eliminating friction, providing feedback, and surviving bad days, systems make achievement almost inevitable. In the end, success is not about motivation, talent, or inspiration. It is about engineering your environment and behavior so that the right actions are the path of least resistance. Goals point to a destination, but systems build the engine that gets you there. Once a system is in place, progress happens automatically, turning effort into tangible results without requiring heroic levels of willpower. Achievement becomes a consequence of design, not hope. Most people approach their goals as if they are a test of willpower. They tell themselves that they just need to try harder, stay motivated, or push through obstacles, and somehow success will appear. It's an appealing ID, EA, because it makes achievement feel noble and personal. But the truth is much simpler. Motivation is fleeting and unreliable, and relying on it is the fastest way to fail. Real progress comes from systems, not heroic moments or bursts of determination. A system is a structure designed to produce action automatically, even when you don't feel like it. And it is far more powerful than any goal written on a page. The first principle of creating a working system is accepting a hard fact: future you is not trustworthy. You cannot rely on yourself tomorrow to make the perfect choice. You will be tired, distracted, emotionally drained, and tempted to procrastinate. Every plan that assumes otherwise is doomed to fail. A robust system works around this reality. It removes reliance on motivation or heroism and creates conditions in which progress is inevitable. When the system runs, it doesn't care whether you feel inspired. It simply produces the right actions. Next, a system requires reducing complex goals into small, concrete actions. Goals like get fit or write a book are too vague. The brain doesn't respond to abstract statements. It responds to actions it can execute. A system translates these goals into tiny, repeatable behaviors. For writing, the system might be open the document and write 1 paragraph every morning. For fitness, it might be do 10 push-ups immediately after getting out of bed. These small steps are easy to execute consistently, and their cumulative effect over time produces significant results without relying on inspiration or bursts of effort. Another critical aspect is removing choice. Every decision drains energy, the M. The more choices we face, the more likely we are to procrastinate or fail. A good system minimizes decisions by establishing clear routines and triggers. When you design your day so that actions happen at a specific time, in a specific place, using a specific method, you eliminate friction. You no longer debate whether to act. The system guides you automatically. This is why consistency beats intensity. Even small actions repeated over time produce meaningful results. Feedback is essential to a system's success. Without it, effort can feel invisible and the brain loses interest. Systems must provide a way to see progress, even in the smallest form. Tracking streaks, checking off tasks, or marking achievements. Visibility of progress reinforces behavior and makes continued effort feel rewarding. The brain loves evidence that what you are doing is working, and a system ensures that evidence is always present. A strong system also accounts for bad days. Life is unpredictable. Energy, time, and focus fluctuate. A system that collapses under less than perfect conditions is not a system, it's a fragile plan. Designing a minimum viable version of each action ensures that the chain remains unbroken. Even a 5-minute effort, a single paragraph, or one small exercise session maintains consistency, preserves identity, and keeps progress moving forward. Systems are designed to survive imperfect conditions because consistency, more than intensity, drives long-term success. Finally, systems shift focus from outcomes to processes. Goals are about results, which are distant, uncertain, and out of immediate control. Systems are about repeated actions, which are immediate, controllable, and reliable. By embedding the right behaviors into daily life, systems make success a consequence of design, not chance. A goal points to a destination, but a system builds the engine that will carry you there. With the right structure, progress becomes inevitable. Ultimately, achieving anything meaningful is not about motivation, heroism, or raw talent. It is about engineering your environment and behavior so that the right actions are easier than the wrong ones. Feedback is visible and consistency is unavoidable. Systems make action automatic and progress inevitable. When you stop relying on fleeting willpower and start designing a system, you stop hoping and start achieving. Success becomes the natural outcome of simple, repeatable, well-designed actions. Most people believe that achieving a goal is a test of character. They imagine that success requires extreme discipline, unshakable motivation, and heroic effort. They convince themselves that if they want something badly enough, they will find a way. But this belief is misleading and counterproductive. Motivation is unreliable. It rises and falls based on mood, energy, and circumstance. If your plan depends on feeling inspired every day, progress will inevitably stall. Real achievement comes not from willpower or desire, but from systems that make the right actions inevitable. The first step to building a system is accepting the reality that future you cannot be trusted. Tomorrow's version of you will be tired, distracted, or overwhelmed. Every plan that depends on future you making perfect choices is already fragile. Systems solve this problem by removing reliance on motivation and ensuring that progress happens automatically. When the system is in place, you no longer need to debate, negotiate, or persuade yourself to act. The structure itself guides your behavior. To create an effective system, you need to break goals into the smallest possible components. Large goals like become an expert, get in shape, or write a book are abstract and intimidating. The brain struggles with abstractions and delays. It prefers immediate, concrete tasks. A system translates these abstract goals into small, actionable steps. For example, writing a book becomes write 1 paragraph every morning. Fitness becomes do 10 push-ups immediately after waking up. These small actions are easy to execute consistently, and their repetition builds real progress over time. The accumulation of tiny steps is far more powerful than occasional bursts of effort fueled by motivation. Another key principle is removing unnecessary decisions. Every choice consumes mental energy and reduces self-control. The more decisions you face, the more likely you are to procrastinate or fail. By eliminating choice, deciding in advance when, where, and how actions will take place, you make it easier to act consistently. When a system is built to run automatically, action no longer depends on debating or evaluating. It happens by default. This is why well-designed systems outperform raw motivation. Consistency, not intensity, produces long-term results. Feedback is another essential component of a system. Without it, progress can feel invisible, and the brain may lose interest. Systems that provide clear, immediate feedback reinforce behavior and sustain momentum. This can be as simple as checking off a task, tracking a streak, or recording even the smallest win. Visible progress signals to your brain that your efforts matter, which motivates continued action without relying on abstract rewards. A robust system must also survive imperfect conditions. Life is unpredictable. Some days energy will be low, time will be scarce, and focus will be fleeting. A system that only works in ideal conditions is not a system, it's a fragile plan. A strong system defines a minimum viable action that can be completed under any circumstances. Even performing a small fraction of the intended task, writing one paragraph, exercising for 5 minutes, or reviewing a single concept, maintains consistency, preserves identity, and prevents the chain from breaking. Consistency, more than perfect execution, drives long-term achievement. Finally, systems shift focus from outcomes to processes. Goals focus on distant, uncertain results which the brain cannot control or respond to immediately. Systems focus on repeated, controllable actions. By embedding desired behaviors into daily routines, systems turn progress into a natural consequence of structure rather than chance. A goal points toward a destination, but a system builds the engine that moves you forward every day. When a system is in place, success becomes inevitable, regardless of motivation or willpower. Ultimately, achieving anything meaningful is not about effort, desire, or personality. It is about engineering your environment and behavior so that the right actions are easy, feedback is visible, and progress is unavoidable. Systems remove reliance on heroic decision-making and replace it with predictable, repeatable behavior. When you stop depending on motivation and start building effective systems, progress becomes automatic, and success follows naturally. Achievement is no longer a hope, it becomes the logical outcome of well-designed actions repeated consistently over time. Most people approach their goals with the belief that motivation is the key to success. They imagine that if they care enough, push hard enough, and stay disciplined, they will achieve whatever they desire. This belief is comforting because it feels noble and heroic, but it is also misleading. Motivation is unreliable, fluctuating with mood, energy, and circumstance. If your plan depends on inspiration, it will inevitably fail. The solution is not to try harder or will yourself into action. It is to build systems that make progress automatic. A system does not rely on feeling like it. It produces results regardless of motivation. The first principle of creating a system is accepting the future you cannot be trusted. You cannot rely on tomorrow's version of yourself to make perfect decisions. You will be tired, distracted, overwhelmed, or tempted to procrastinate. Plans that assume future you will always act heroically are fragile and short-lived. Systems are designed to work around this reality. They remove reliance on motivation and create an environment in which the desired behavior occurs naturally. When a system is in place, action does not require persuasion or negotiation. It happens automatically. The second principle is to reduce complex goals into small, actionable components. Goals like get fit, become an expert, or write a book are abstract and intimidating. The brain struggles with vague instructions and delayed rewards. A system converts these goals into concrete, repeatable actions that can be executed consistently. For example, writing a book becomes write one paragraph every morning, while fitness becomes do 10 push-ups immediately after waking up. These small steps are easy to perform, even on low energy days, and their repetition produces cumulative progress over time. Small actions repeated consistently outperform occasional bursts of effort fueled by motivation. Another key aspect of a system is eliminating unnecessary decisions. Every choice consumes mental energy and depletes self-control. The more decisions you face, the more likely you are to procrastinate or fail. A good system reduces choice by defining when, where, and how actions occur. By removing friction, the system allows behavior to run automatically. You no longer have to debate whether to act. The system guides you. This is why consistent routines are far more effective than relying on willpower or occasional inspiration. Feedback is another critical component. Without feedback, effort feels invisible and the brain loses interest. Systems provide clear, immediate feedback, which reinforces behavior and maintains momentum. This can be as simple as tracking streaks, checking off tasks, or recording small wins. Visible progress signals to the brain that effort is producing results, keeping motivation alive without relying on abstract outcomes. A strong system also accounts for failure and bad days. Life is unpredictable, and energy, focus, and time fluctuate. Systems designed to fail under less than ideal conditions are not systems at all. They are fragile plans. Effective systems define a minimum viable action that can be completed even under difficult circumstances. Writing one paragraph, exercising for 5 minutes, or reviewing one concept maintains consistency, preserves identity, and prevents progress from stalling. Over time, these small actions compound into significant results. Finally, systems shift the focus from outcomes to processes. Goals focus on distant, uncertain results which the brain cannot immediately control. Systems focus on repeated actions which are controllable, immediate, and reliable. By embedding the right behaviors into daily routines, systems make progress predictable. Goals point to destinations, but systems build the engine that moves you toward them every day. Success becomes inevitable, not because of heroism or extreme effort, but because the system consistently channels behavior in the right direction. Ultimately, achievement is not about motivation, talent, or willpower. It is about engineering your environment and behavior so that the correct actions are easy, feedback is visible, and consistency is unavoidable. Systems remove the need for heroic effort and make progress automatic. When you stop relying on motivation and start designing effective systems, success ceases to be a hope and becomes a logical consequence of repeated, structured action. Over time, the compounding effect of these actions turns small, disciplined habits into extraordinary results, and achievement becomes inevitable.